Pleasure, you could stay on. Let's move straight to our very first story. And President Akufo-Addo has promised to protect pension funds of workers despite the economic crisis. According to him, government is committed to protecting the livelihood of workers. Addressing Workers' Day at the National May Day Parade in Bolgatanga, President Akufo-Addo said, in spite of the economic turbulence, his government will protect pension funds.
In spite of the difficulties, the difficult challenges government employers face, this was made possible through consensus building to ensure businesses attain high levels of employment to hasten economic recovery. This is no mean feat, as it is the first time in the history of the determination of the national daily minimum wage that the parties agreed to the payment of COLA after wage adjustment for the year has already been agreed. This is an indication of our collective resolve to protect workers and their standards of living. You would also recall that this year began with government and organized labor concluding negotiations on the 2023 base pay and pay point relativity for public sector workers in January 2023. Following a series of consultations and consensus building within the Public Services Joint Standing Negotiating Committee, the base pay on the single spine salary structure was increased by 30% over the 2022 figure, effective 1st January 2023. Indeed, the 30% increment of the 2023 base pay is the highest since the introduction of the single spine salary structure in 2010.
Now, the president also called on organized labor to collaborate with government to address the lingering issues bothering the economy.
Government which is committed to improving the lot of workers and their dependents. In the wake of the current global economic crisis, it has become even more imperative to protect workers. Our collective responsibility in achieving this objective is important, and it is for this reason that I consider the theme for today's celebration, protecting incomes and pensions in an era of economic crisis, our responsibility, as most appropriate. Secretary General, organized labor, it is evident that this current global crisis is the worst crisis the world has experienced in the past 50 years. In spite of the damaging effect of the crisis, we have managed to protect lives, livelihoods, and jobs, and kept the lights on. The crisis is having a profound impact on national economies and societies. Incomes, pensions, and investment funds are equally being affected.
Meanwhile, the Secretary General of the Trades Union Congress, Dr. Yauban, has appealed to the president to cut down expenditure.
The reason Ghana has had to seek IMF support almost every 3 years is largely due to the flaws in the way our economy has been managed based on the neoliberal free market ideology. We would like to reiterate our well-known position that the IMF program can never take us out of this crisis. Our history of engagements with the IMF provides ample evidence that IMF-sponsored programs and policies cannot change our economic circumstances. Another IMF program will only impose more economic burden on us. We have to change the situation ourselves as Ghanaians. We believe strongly that government can lead us out of this crisis. And the government can do so by cutting expenditure on non-essentials, including the need to stop spending our hard-earned revenue on a national cathedral. Your Excellency, we would like to appeal to you to convene a national dialogue on the economy so that all the stakeholders can meet and build a consensus on the way out of this economic crisis. That forum will also provide opportunity and pave the way to build a more resilient economy. The working people of Ghana and their unions are ready to play our part in the social and economic development of our dear motherland.
Now let's get onto the phone and speak to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Employers, Alex Frimpong, for his take on this interesting development. Grateful, Alex, you could join us on the marketplace, and happy Workers' Day to you as well. Now, Alex, the President has given indications that there wouldn't be the need to touch pension funds during this time. How assuring is this to you?
Please, can you come again? The line is not clear.
Okay, so I'm asking you that the President has stated that pension funds wouldn't be touched. And I'm asking how assuring is this to you?
Well, I am sure His Excellency the President will mean his words by making that commitment. And our social partners would hold him to those words. So the likely event that he changes his mind, I'm sure dialogue should be the way, and reasonable causes for any change should be a dialogue between the social partners.
All right, so do you hold the view that it settles speculations that there may be a second round of domestic debt exchange program?
Well, in our part of the world, rumors are rife. So until we hear it from the policymakers with the reasons, we have heard it, but we do not really take them for what it is.
All right, so Alex, the President also did state that there are plans to review the labor laws. As employers, what are some of the recommendations you would make into that?
Well, we are aware of this plan. And, in fact, labor and the employers, we have submitted proposals, and it's being coordinated by the Employment Ministry. So once we gather together as partners, we should be in the position to assign reasons for why we think these changes are necessary, especially taking into account the social, political, and economic changes that are taking place in Ghana and also in many parts of the world, regarding especially the future of work. So is it an issue of flexibility of employment or rigidity in the labor market? These are all key issues that we need to really engage our partners in.
As employers, what would you recommend to workers during this time to do, especially when the economy is biting really hard?
Well, two things. One, they need to ensure that we use dialogue, consultations, and negotiations to resolve our differences. Definitely, there will be differences in the way we want to manage our affairs in going forward, especially at the enterprise level and also at the national level. But in order to reconcile our differences, we need to really deepen the culture of engagement, both at the workplace and at the national level. Second has to do with the need for attitudinal change. Attitudinal change in the sense that if we do not change our attitude towards work and productivity goes down, it will create a lot of business problems for businesses, especially regarding how we can sustain the business, let alone looking at profits. So the need for attitudinal change that brings productivity to the highest level so that the business can withstand the vicissitudes of the economic situation becomes quite paramount.
And on the flip side, what should the workers do?
Well, I think it is also important that we need to improve upon our capacity, especially regarding skills development. Skills yesterday is not like skills of today. So as employees, we must be relevant to the labor market at all times. Because the skill development experts will tell you that the illiterates of the 21st century are not those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn. So what we acquired yesterday, can it take us or survive us tomorrow and beyond? These are questions that employees should be able to reflect and review and ensure that from recruitment to retirement, we will be relevant to the labor market by sharpening our skills all along.
Alex, one key issue that came up during the presentation at Bolgatanga a short while ago when Yao Bam mounted the podium, he touched on the need for companies to allow their workers unionized. Why is it difficult for employers to allow workers, form a coalition of some sort?
Well, to the best of my knowledge, there are various reasons why some of these things happen. Again, I trace it down to engagement. Many a time, the engagement leading to that process is not exhausted. And there are several times that the employer has not been involved in the engagement. The right to freedom of association has been enshrined in the Constitution also now in our labor law. But the right is not absolute. So if you go through the Constitution, if you go to the Labor Act, that right is not absolute. Hence the need for engagement. So we must all have that at the back of our minds that in the workplace, the employer also has rights. And how to reconcile our differences is very important. We need to be patient and really abide by the provisions of the law. I'm sure if we're able to do that, we should be able to resolve all these crises in going forward.
I see. Thank you very much, Alex, for your time here on the marketplace and speaking to us there on labor issues. Let's move away from that and touch on the stories. Prepare to pay more for alcohol, cigarettes, processed food juices, mineral water, as well as winning on your sports bets. This is because the 3 revised taxes are taken off from today. There is more in the following Business Desk reports.
Has been passed by Parliament, as well as the President giving his assent at the Excise Amendment Act 2023, Income Tax Amendment Act of 2023, and the controversial Growth and Sustainability Levy. The Ghana Revenue Authority in a circular issued today noted that it has set May 1, 2023 as the deadline for implementing these taxes because it believes that businesses have had ample time to configure their system since the law was passed by Parliament. Well, when it comes to the Excise Amendment Act, that will result to the price of some processed fruit juice, energy drink, imported beer is expected to be going up as this tax will seek to place fresh levies on these products. Alcoholic beverage will not be spared as the taxes paid on these products have also been increased. Mineral water is also expected to go up as this review is also expected to affect some of these products on the market. Cigarettes and electronic cigarettes will also not be spared. The Ghana Union of Traders Association has indicated that it will not hesitate to pass on the cost of these products as it might be difficult to absorb it going forward. When it comes to the income end, any amount below 500 Ghana cedis should be tax-free. However, an extra 100 Ghana cedis will attract a tax rate of 5%. Additional 100 Ghana cedis will attract a rate of 10%. Based on the schedule seen by Joy Business, the more one earns, the more one should be paying in terms of the taxes to the state. Well, for banks, non-bank financial institutions, telecom companies, and firms working in the oil sector will pay 5% of their profit before tax to the state. Mining firms, oil and gas companies are expected to pay 1% of gross production, while all other firms will pay 2.5% of their profit before tax to the Ghana Revenue Authority. This is because the Growth and Sustainability Levy is also going to be implemented from May 1, 2023.
Meanwhile, some importers and businesses have indicated that they will have no option than to pass on the cost to consumers. John Awune is the council member of the Food and Beverages Association.
We are aware, the government is aware about the effect of whatever they are doing, but we want to give them a synopsis or a brief on the effect of their policy from 2017 to today on pricing in the country, where most goods like a bag of rice was 150 cedis. Today we are dealing with 600 cedis. Sugar was about Same thing. Today we are dealing with about 585 cedis per bag. You can talk about anything. Bread was like 5 cedis. Today we are dealing with bread of 20 cedis. Egg, a crate of eggs was like 50 cedis. We are dealing with about 50 cedis per egg. A cut of chicken was like 40 cedis. Today we are dealing with about 350 cedis. See, we want to come up with a paper, and we are putting that together. In the next couple of days, we intend to engage government to look at this. Because we are supposed to be partners in development, and you can't come out with these things, and we are crying, and nobody, it appears to be like it's a state capture. We have captured the state, we will do whatever we want. You can say what you want to do, but we will also do what we want to do. And you are in the affairs of the state, in the interest of the private sector, in the interest of individuals, in the interest of households. You cannot do things say that you want to please yourself at the detriment of the people. If you want to survive a revived economy, how have you explained to us where we are, aside the blame of Ukraine and then whatever not? Are we the only people who Ukraine and then whatever COVID has affected? Will reflect immediately as we engage the government. Cost will reflect immediately because nobody is going to bear that cost. And what I'm saying is going to have a cascading effect. It's going to have complete multiplier effect because as the cost already, demand is very low in the market. Now, no business owner is capable of eroding his capital by bearing these taxes. So the growth and sustainability tax that players in industry will pay 2.5%, and it's supposed to be passed to the consumer. Let the consumer bring the money, and then we will give it to the government.
You're still watching The Marketplace with me, Pious Kojo Backah. There is more after this break. Hello, welcome back. Let's continue with the rest of our stories. And more than 5 million SIM cards have been deactivated on the MTN network by telecoms giant. Now, this move is in line with the directive from the regulator, that's the National Communications Authority, that persons that have not fully completed their registration process should be removed from the network. There is more in the following Business Desk reports.
MTN, in its financial statement ending the first quarter of this year, noted that in November last year, it was forced to deactivate 5.7 million subscribers. However, in April 2023, this number was reduced by almost 2 million. This was after the SIMs that were impacted completed the necessary biometric capture, leaving almost 4 million subscribers disconnected SIM cards. MTN further explained that it has gone ahead to deactivate these cards from its database in line with a directive from the National Communications Authority. The telecom operator maintained that it remains committed to this national SIM re-registration exercise and will continue to deploy resources to work with the regulator to accelerate SIM re-registration for all subscribers. However, for some analysts, there are concerns about the cost of this exercise to the telecom operator, as they will be losing out in terms of the needed revenue from these subscribers. But for some, with news that some of these registrations were carried out through fraudulent means, one is not sure whether there could be another regulatory directive for these subscribers to be deactivated. MTN, in its financial statement, puts the total number of subscribers ending the first quarter of this year at 27.4 million.
Now, the Bank of Ghana says it's on course with the training of all 23 banks in the country on environmental sustainable governance principles to ensure safe and sound financial system. According to the Deputy Director, Banking Supervision at the Bank of Ghana, Ismail Adam, so far the compliance rate on Principle 1 is about 53%, which he says is commendable. Speaking to Joy Business, Mr. Adam expressed optimism it will continue with Principle 2 by the end of the year.
We've trained them on Principle 1. We are hoping to train them on Principle 2 by end of this year. And so far the reporting has been given that we've trained them only on Principle 1 and hoping to end the training on Principle 2 this year with a compliance rate of 53%. We think they are doing well. And so we are hoping that going forward, the outlook is to train them on all the principles and get them to report on other principles, and hoping to achieve 100% compliance when they are training on all the 7 principles. And so that is where we are as far as the sustainable banking is concerned. This was something that was not done by BOG alone. They are part of it. Normally when you have an institution being part of a process, it's easier convincing them to go by what they themselves were part in coming up with. And so I don't think we have much difficulty, given that the banks themselves were involved. And as a matter of fact, when it was launched somewhere in 2019, all the 23 CEOs of banks signed on to the principles. And so it's not something that is going to be difficult at all. They themselves understand the benefits that we know to them by signing on.
To some other stories, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, through the Ghana Tourism Development Company, has held a tourism training for commercial drivers in Kumasi. The program is to conscientize stakeholders in the transport sector on their role in promoting travel and tourism in the country. There is more in this report.
Value chain. Commercial and ride-hailing app drivers are considered as the frontliners who meet tourists when they arrive in the country. But many lack the skills and knowledge to tout exciting attractions of the country to foreigners. Deputy Minister for Tourism, Arts and Culture, Mr. Okrekumante, believes training in communication skills for drivers could promote Ghana's tourism.
We came here today to build the capacity of the people in the transportation fraternity or community, precisely taxi, digital transport operators, and then all the other stakeholders in transportation. We acknowledge that they do a lot, or they add a lot to how to get results in tourism. We all know sometimes some of them are not even well groomed. They do not even understand the customer. They do not even know that they owe Ghana a duty to say good things about Ghana, to influence that particular customer who will go as an ambassador to say good things about Ghana for a repeat purchase from another customer. And we all know that word of mouth is the most powerful promotion. And so if people go back and they don't say good things about your country, there's trouble. And so today we are here to build their capacity.
The Deputy Sector Minister hopes the initiative will be continued by successive governments.
We expect that those who are going to get the training from today will transfer to others who are not here. That's why especially we have the leadership here. It will not stop, it will continue. We hope that it will become a culture where almost every government will take this seriously, because as a country, as a government, we've decided that we want to make tourism the #1 contributor to our GDP. And this is very necessary to what we're looking for.
The exercise is expected to be replicated in various parts of the country, targeting 3,000 drivers for the first phase. Some beneficiary drivers say the training would attract them to more customers, but anticipate sustainability of the program.
The
training would help us know more on how to interact with foreigners, and that would bring us more income. The taxi business isn't lucrative anymore. This would show up our income. For JoyNews, Emmanuel Bright-Kweku reporting.
And more from Kumasi. Ghana is one of the countries most affected by malaria, with over 5 billion reported annually. In the Obuasi municipality of the Ashanti region, malaria tops the list of OPD cases. However, the indoor residual spraying program by Anglo Gold Ashanti has eradicated about 70% of malaria in the area. There is more in this report.
Part of the 2023 World Malaria Day celebration, Anglo Gold Ashanti has called on organizations to collaborate with the mind to accelerate the progress of achieving the theme of this year's celebration. Edmond Odro Ejay, stakeholder superintendent at Anglo Gold Ashanti, pledged continuous support to fight and totally eradicate malaria from the district.
What a year records before program made by Notosuan. Nurse or Hamun Chemu. Edward so 70% there. Ako etia. Now yasre all other partners. Now institution.
We have made some progress in curtailing malaria in the district. We call on other organizations to collaborate with the mind to fight malaria.
Yes, sir, other supporting organizations. So, I'm also
Though efforts have been made to eliminate the disease, the Health Directorate says it is faced with the non-adherence to treated bed nets. Eric Etuani Ajiman is the District Director of Health at Adanse North.
Because adherence to the use of bed net sometimes becomes problematic. Bed nets have been given to you, the populace, just to hang it up and sleep in it. Yes, so people don't want to actually use the bed net. Again, when they visit the facilities and they are given treatment, adherence to treatment for the adult tablets or for general population is about 3 days.
And that's all for the marketplace for today. I am Pious Kojo Backah. For more business stories, you can get them on myjoyonline.com/business. Do enjoy the rest of our programs and have a lovely Workers' Day.